Welcome back to Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
We are the Youngs.
And we have Kate with us again.
Hi.
Super, super awesome to have Kate with us again. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
We had to have her on multiple times because she just is a wealth of knowledge.
yes.
We have to get all we can.
Or I
while
won't
we
stop
have her.
talking.
Literally
one or the other.
Awesome. Okay, so today we are talking about luxury clients, how us as vendors can appeal to luxury clients, and what that really means. Like, what does that actually mean?
What does luxury mean? Or
Yeah.
what does appealing mean?
Well,
And
I would
who
love-
the clients are.
I would love for you to just start out with that. What does that mean to you? And also, what do you think that means to our industry?
I think luxury in the wedding world is being of service to your client.
Amen.
I think that it doesn't matter what things look like. Well, it does, but it's not about, having all of these pretty sheets and all these pretty lookbooks and things like that if you're not available when your clients need you to be available. And people in the luxury marketplace, they want access and they want it now, and they don't care how you want it. They are willing to pay a premium to have access and exclusivity. So being of service to your clients, that means answering their texts or answering their calls or having in-person meetings if that's what they need.
Yeah.
To me, that is the epitome of luxury.
The experience, not the dollar amount.
I was going to say, I
Absolutely.
feel like a lot of people get stuck on the word luxury and think that equals money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not how things, yes, I think if you're going to have an incredible experience, that is going to come at a higher dollar amount, right?
Yeah.
You can buy a purse from anywhere, but if you buy a purse from Louis Vuitton, it comes in a special box with
Right.
special wrapping, and somebody puts on
It's
white
an
glove.
experience
It's
when
an
you open it.
experience. It's an experience to watch them wrap it. It's
Yep.
an experience to open. But think about all of those steps that they took to get that bag to
Yeah.
you. That all costs. That's operational. That's overhead costs. So
The personalized sales experience leading up to getting that bag also.
Absolutely. And then there's the exclusivity, right? They're not running ads on the nightly news.
They don't need to.
They don't need to. It's word of mouth. So I think that yes, luxury being of service to your clients comes at a premium
Yes.
because I can't be available that way to 40 clients. I don't have enough hours in the day. I can be
Yeah.
available to those types of clients to 10 of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, what would you say about photographers, videographers specifically? I feel like knowing who your client is super important, even down to the brands that they love, where they eat, what type of cocktail are they drinking, where are
Absolutely.
they vacationing, what cars are they driving.
Absolutely.
And this is a question that I kind of think of a lot. It's where can we meet our clients where they're at?
How can we meet the clients
Yes.
where they're
How
at?
can we
I know
meet
what
the
you're saying.
clients where they're at? So from your standpoint, when you're meeting with those clients who are a luxury client working with you, what does that look like when you're speaking about vendors and in particular with having us meeting them where they're at? What does
Sure.
that look like?
I think for me, I know exactly who my client is. I know
Yeah.
what they look like. Like you said, I know where they shop. I know. So for me at that point, it becomes about matching personalities.
Okay.
So I think who I would recommend to somebody that's a couple that's a very type A is different than somebody who's very type B.
Yeah.
Right. It's matchmaking.
Yeah.
So I think as a luxury event planner, you have to have the best matchmaking skills and to understand, because my feed, if you're looking through my portfolio, it's relatively similar. Yes, there's lots of different photographers in there, but they have different points of view, but they're all natural light, right? There's not a lot of sepia. So they know anybody I recommend is going to be somewhat in that camp. So then I'm looking at matching personalities, and I'm looking for somebody who's really all inclusive. They want. And then from there, we all have to show up just how they need it. If that means meeting them at their house, because that's the one time we can get an hour of their time, then that's what we're all going to do. Right.
Yeah.
And if that means coming into our studio or meeting at your studio,
Right.
we're so happy to do that, because whatever is going to make the experience better for them.
Yeah.
And I would venture to say that the higher you get into that level, the more flexible you have to be, because obviously somebody at that level has a lot going on, a lot on their plate as it is.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, I have clients where I've been a signer on their escrow account because that's how they want to pay their vendors.
Yeah.
I have clients who I had to meet them every Sunday evening because they were both physicians and surgeons and they're in the operating room all week. I have clients who I have to text because they don't know how to email. I've had clients where I've driven to their house to help them put together their seating chart because they wrote it on Post-its and put it on a piece of paper and I had to put it in Excel for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, again, that gets back to that service. And
Yeah.
I think if you're charging somebody, you know, as an event planner, if you're charging someone $8,000 to spend the next year planning, then you have to have too many clients to be able to offer that. But for what I charge, that's fine with me. I don't care. I'll drive to your house. We had a client once that she had just had surgery and Kimmy was literally on the floor of her bedroom having her sign checks. And she was like,
oh my goodness.
How many drugs are you still on? Cause those signatures are getting really, really loopy, you know, but you have to meet them where they're at or you can't be charging to be in the luxury field, right?
Yeah.
Oh, for
so
sure.
the two go hand in hand.
Yeah. And so when photographers are aspiring to work with companies like yours, what are the things that you're looking for from them to be good to like recommend to your clients and to meet them in that spot and in that luxury space?
Well, I think any event planner who is working with high net worth individuals is not just going to go into their email or their DMs and be like, the Young sent me a Facebook message one time. I'm going to refer them all of a sudden, right? To us, it's about building that relationship.
Right.
So you're playing the long game. It's not the short game.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking for a couple of different things. So if I'm looking at their feed or their portfolio, I want somebody who can focus on both candids and details because let's face it, the client wants the candids and I want the details.
Yeah.
And it's a little self-serving. So somebody I know who can service both of us, because at the end of the day, your client is the couple. It's not me.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Because
I'd love it to be me.
I mean, I feel
You just
like
made the connection, like you just said.
Yeah. And we've attended like dozens of conferences and educational events and workshops and things like that. And it's always different. You know, people are always saying, well, is your client the client or is it the planner? And
Or is it the mom?
Or is it the mom?
It's probably different for every couple that you work with, right? Because I certainly have couples that if mom's not happy, ain't nobody happy.
Yeah.
And so she's my client and there's probably some with the planner that it's the planner and some, it depends. I think it's a very delicate dance that we do as event planners to try to find the medium between protecting my client and protecting my vendors. Because my couple is my couple only for that one planning period. But I have to see you guys and work with you guys over and over again, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't
That's
want
the
to
plan.
piss you off. So it's like if there's a delicate situation, it's threading that needle kind of perfectly through to figure out how everybody can win.
And I mean, just from like a photographer community, I've heard it like different ways, you know, for us specifically, obviously like the couple is our client, but at the same time, like we want to make sure that we're making the planners happy too.
Agreed.
And mom, because Saturday actually, mom is who basically had done
Everything.
almost everything up to that point.
Yeah. And I know some photographers who are like, I don't give a shit who the planner is, who the mom is. I'm serving my couple.
Yeah.
Rightfully
Which is
so.
important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those probably are not right for me. You know, I think you have to have somebody who can hit that line right in the middle. So I think having the ability to do both and do well, which is what's attractive to a husband-wife team of people. You're not just a one-woman show or a one-man show, but you guys can capture a lot of things. We can get somebody over to the bride and somebody doing details and all of those things and nothing gets missed.
Yeah. Right.
And so working with larger teams is really attractive to me. And when I'm looking for a photo, video, content combo, you know?
Yeah. We always we want to make sure that everyone that we're working with feels like they're important. Obviously, on the wedding day, it's like the bride.
They're going to look important because the paparazzi are on them.
Yeah. But like, we want to make sure that the mother of the groom feels important. Like everybody, we want to make sure that the planners feel important because they are. Like everybody is important. So we look at it as a whole production of like everybody is our client.
Absolutely.
And it's referrals and recommendations, and were they easy to work with? Were they nice? Were they helpful and instructive?
Right.
So that's personally how we look at it, but it is a big question. I feel like in our industry, it's like, who actually is your client?
I think if you nailed most photographers to the wall and you were like, put a gun to their head or whatever that is, they
They'd
would
be
say
like,
the
the
couple.
client.
Yeah.
They would.
Yeah.
I mean, because we just hosted a big education summit, and
Yeah.
I did ask every single person on the panel, and they all said the couple, which they should.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
At the end of the day, they are the ones getting married. They are the ones who are having these memories for their family that they're creating that day.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're going to prioritize anything, I want the couple to get everything that they want, and I'm happy to take second place, but I would like to be second, not fifth,
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I think, looking at the feed, I'm in the Midwest, right? We're all in the Midwest. So
Yeah.
I'm looking for people who can shoot indoor and outdoor.
Yeah.
Because no disrespect to Southern California, but anybody can shoot in the natural light of Southern
Right.
California.
Oh, yeah.
It takes a special kind of person to be able to shoot at the Ritz-Carlton St. Louis that has absolutely
No windows.
no windows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I am looking for that as well. And then, contact information is easy to find. And then what my most perfect scenario is, we jump on a quick 15-minute phone call. I download you on the couple. Here's the details of the day. Here's a little bit about them. And then you put together a custom proposal for them. And ideally, if I say they're at the Ritz, there's a picture of you guys at the Ritz,
Yeah.
or if they're outside, it's outside, and it has, I like to get 3 package options to my couples.
Yeah.
And I have certain standards I'll typically ask of our photo video team. So I always want 2 people. That I don't know how people do it with anything less
Minimum.
than that.
I
don't either.
refuse for less
Yeah.
than 2 people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
An engagement session is not optional. Whether those photos go nowhere or everywhere, it doesn't matter to me, but you have to get that couple behind your camera and learn how they work, right?
Yes.
I mean, are they awkward or are they cuddly?
What's
or,
their tics?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do they
Yeah.
blink weird? Does she prefer her left side, which she might
Right.
not know until she sees the images?
Right.
So to me, it's just as much about getting the images as it is working out the kinks before the event day.
Yeah.
And so those to me are non-negotiables.
Right.
And I think when I see people who are transitioning from maybe being more an emerging photographer into the luxury, more tenured field, that's some of the mistakes I see them making, is they're making things optional that shouldn't be optional,
Right.
which
Ooh,
is
that's
why
good.
people are assuming that they're not luxury.
Yeah, that makes
that's
sense.
good. That's good.
So 2 things. Well, one's just a comment on what you just said. I like our dynamic with the engagement session because I feel like a lot of times the groom, if there's a groom, is usually more standoffish with camera.
Yeah.
And in our experience, anytime that I also attend a engagement session, the wedding day is a breeze because we've made that connection and he feels way more comfortable in front of a camera.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about you and some of the other photographers that we work is you're kind of the guy they could have a beer with,
Yep.
but then you can be buttoned up on a wedding day. And I think that's really attractive to a couple because like you said, most guys they're thinking photographer, they're going to have me behind the camera for 4 hours and I'm going to be sweating my ass off. And, I'm going to hate this. And my guys are going to be on the bus having fun. And so I think once they see that they could shoot the shit with you, but also you can get the job done. I think that is what's really attractive about, you guys working together.
Yeah,
Okay, and
exactly.
then my question now,
Yeah.
leading off of you being a matchmaker, when you're having your consult with the client that's already booked you and you're trying to figure out vendors, what are some buzzwords you look for to match them to a specific vendor that would match really well with them? Like the wedding we have in February, you couldn't have matched it better. I feel like based on what we've met with them before.
I think it would be really interesting to know what your clients are coming to you saying, hey, I want A, B, C, and D.
It's funny. I don't ask them.
Okay.
It's really the feeling. So I don't know if I have a buzzword.
Okay.
Oh.
At that point, I've had enough. So it's all about building relationships, right?
Yes.
And that'll be one of our first weddings together. And it was a long road for us to get here to meet each other. And we interacted with each other a lot because like I said, if I only do 6 or 8 weddings a year, I don't have that many to give.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I want to build the relationship with somebody first. And so to me, it was just sitting in the meeting with the clients, how they spoke, how they approached the meetings, the words of the quote unquote vibe that they wanted for the evening.
Yeah.
I was like, I know exactly who this needs to be. be. I don't even need to give them more than
Yeah.
one recommendation. This
Yeah.
is the recommendation, right?
Great.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't developed a relationship with you guys over time and with that client, I might have mismatched them to somebody
Yeah.
else
Yeah.
who would have taken fine photographs, but it wouldn't have been
That memorable experience.
as memorable of an
Yeah.
experience, right?
That makes sense.
And so to me, I don't know if it's about the words, but it's about, as a planner, I have to really get to know my clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do ask them questions. We have a questionnaire that we put them through. And the other thing that we have them do is we rank how important certain things are for
Yeah,
them.
that's good.
And so if somebody like ranks photography very low, which is very rare that somebody
Right.
does, because generally it's the most important thing
Yeah.
for them. But if they do, just asking the right questions of why
That's there.
why is flowers, which only last that day, of less important or more important to you than your photographer, which is
Yeah.
what you're quite literally hanging on your wall.
Yeah.
So just kind of trying to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
But I think if I can break bread with my clients and like really just get to know them, and not about the wedding, everyone's going to ask them about how they got engaged.
Yep.
I do
Right.
not care about how you got engaged. I mean, I'm sure it's a lovely story, but
Yeah.
tell me, when you have friends over on a Saturday night, like, tell me about that. Like, what are you doing? What are you serving? What are you
Yeah.
putting it in? What are you wearing?
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
somebody who's in her Louboutins and heels, is different than somebody who's wearing her tennis shoes, you
Yeah.
know, and her joggers.
Or no shoes.
Yeah,
Right, no shoes.
preferably, right?
Yeah.
I don't want shoes on. I don't have to. Even coming today, I was like, can I wear
Only
sweats
after
today?
a wedding, because hardwood's more comfortable with shoes on after a wedding.
Right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, but then like knowing how you guys, what your vibe is when you're at home too, I think that's important because
Yeah.
then I know you all get along.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So do your clients come to you with like, hey, we like this trend, or like we like this type of theme, or like, whatever, and then you kind of like play that matchmaker game, or like, what are your thoughts on that, especially the trend thing? I'm
Trends
curious
are
of.
huge right now.
Yeah.
They are. I think they always are. They come
That's
and go,
true.
right?
Yeah.
Like when we've been doing this long enough, I think most of our clients are classic with a dotted line to what is on trend or what is really chic right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think if they've come to us, then they're probably looking for vendors who are really similar. I think that trends always have a time and a place, right? I've been doing this long enough to see gray suits were popular and then they weren't. Now they're popular again. Or the color purple was great in 2009 and then it fell off and now it's popular again. Like
Yeah.
to see that. So I think a lot of the trend right now is the content or the blurry images or crooked images. Like I don't know why Sophia Richie's wedding has crooked images.
I just
She
did
just
a
did a TikTok
TikTok on
about that.
that.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
can't.
There is that family portrait of Lionel and Nicole and
is it
Sophia.
crooked?
Why is that crooked? Now, the one of them walking down the aisle after their first kiss, that's crooked. I can take that.
Agreed,
It
because
feels
it's in
like
the
you're,
moment.
It's in,
Right.
you're submerged into the environment. It feels like you just watched it. It's fine. Also, it's black and white, which makes it even better. But the family portrait, no.
Even like Paris Hilton's wedding where Jose brought in like that whole backdrop.
Yeah.
But then took it from far enough out that you could see all the edges of the backdrop, which was a beautiful imagery.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's an incredible
yeah.
photographer. So I'm
Yeah.
not knocking it. Maybe it's what Paris asked for.
Yeah.
As if we're on a first name basis. But
Besties.
to me, it's, I don't like things that don't exist naturally. So,
Yeah.
right, that
Yeah.
big velvet backdrop doesn't exist outside in that space naturally. So
Yeah.
it feels odd to me.
Yeah.
It
It's
It's like hanging a dress on a tree and taking a picture of it.
Agreed.
We will never,
Ever.
ever.
Right. But I also can rein myself in enough to know that it's not my wedding. And if
Yeah.
she was happy with that image or happy with that backdrop, then fine.
Yeah.
It's just not what I
Yeah.
would have done if it was my wedding. But I think
I wonder if it was just like a simple, like, this is what was happening on that day type of image. But it's
Yeah.
interesting that it made like
all the
all the
And that leads
important.
into my question. Well, in general for photo and video, I'm sure with design, it's huge too. Everything needs a why.
Yes.
Like every shot we get, every
Yeah.
photo we take, there should be a why behind it. So if you're going to do slow shutter or a blurry, like a soft focus, why? What are
Yeah.
you trying to invoke?
And
with
I,
that?
I think that what people really gravitated towards and why Sophia Richie's wedding blew up so much all over was because there was so much emotion in the photos. Like she
Yeah.
was clearly having the time of her
Yeah,
life,
yeah.
right? Rocking out to Old Good Charlotte on stage, having a blast.
Yeah.
That's what you resonated towards. And
Yes.
that's what is key. I mean, she had an incredible photographer. You guys are incredible
yeah.
photographers. Like that is what is a true testament of a great photographer.
Yeah.
I like things as they exist naturally.
Yep.
So
Organic.
Agreed. Thank you. That's a better word.
Organic.
Yeah. So like I like a flat lay for an invitation, but your cocktail drink, I would rather have a guest in a great dress with that person holding it, taking a sip of it. I think that to me is much better than a perfectly styled flat lay of a cocktail,
And it
which
tells
makes no
more
sense
of like
to
the
me.
story of the day too.
Or instead of putting shoes on a flat lay, get a shot of her putting her shoe on her foot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, red
Which
flag.
conveys over to video for you.
Which is what I try, like, I'll do flat lay shots of the invite and sometimes a shoe, but I always make sure to get shot of the shoe going on the foot.
Yes.
Yeah. You were going to say red flag. I already know what you're going to say.
I was going to say red flag. Like if I am like looking at you for a wedding and you have shoes with your invitations, like I'm done. I'm out of here. Because I have been spewing about not doing that, like the hatred towards that.
The
for
ribbon
so
too,
long.
yeah.
Ribbon.
The ribbon.
I would love, why do you hate on ribbon, Kate?
I like ribbon for the, okay. If the invitation had ribbon, then the flat
Then it
lay
makes
should
sense.
have ribbon.
I agree.
If the invitation didn't have ribbon, why are you adding it
Because there was a reason
See,
it wasn't added in the first place.
Yes,
See,
Okay,
I
that
agree
makes
with that. And, you know, I will admit, like early on in my career, I would have the ribbon. I had
same.
like every color of
I had
ribbon
all
in
the
my
wooden
styling box.
spools.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a whole ton of
still
them.
have
I
lot of
still
them.
have them, but they're not in my current styling kit because it doesn't make sense if it's not already incorporated into the day.
And then if you're going to have a ribbon, because there was one on the invitation, I like to just leave it on the invitation.
Yep.
But if you take it off, you have to iron it because I hate when those silk ribbons have all those
Oh yeah.
like
Creases.
fold lines and
Yeah.
creases in it.
Yeah.
It might just be me, you guys. I might just be the weirdo. I don't know.
You're not the weirdo.
I don't know.
You're not the weirdo.
I think it comes down to, again, why.
Yeah.
Ribbon can make it look good, but if it's not done right,
Right.
it will make it look bad. Just like a crooked photo can make it look bad if it's
Right.
not done right.
Yeah.
Right. If she's wearing a ribbon in her hair, it makes sense. There's the
Yeah.
why, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
yeah. Anyway, that was a tangent.
I know. I
do that a
have a
lot.
few little quirks, and that's one of them for
no,
sure.
that's so funny.
Same, I do too. I can't even think of them though. Otherwise,
You have a lot of them.
I have a lot of quirks, especially with
You
like
could do
video.
a whole podcast on
On
quirks.
Yeah, we should, honestly. Okay, so for the listeners out there thinking of, I want to be in a luxury space, whether you're a photographer, videographer, calligrapher, whatever, what are your biggest tips and advice for getting ushered into that space and entering that space?
I know the answer.
Do it, man. Say it.
Engage.
I love Engage. I'm an Engage
We're
junkie.
trying. We've been trying to
We
go.
are-
Every
we'll-
time
we'll
we go
be
to buy
there.
tickets, they're sold out.
Yeah,
Well, and now they're starting to limit each track. So they're only allowing a certain
there's
number
a
of
pop-up.
photographers.
Actually, they're announcing it today.
Yeah.
I need to look on their Instagram.
Yeah.
Before that sells out.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think I know where it is, but I probably shouldn't say anything. I'll tell you after.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're starting to limit each track though. So like only
Okay.
a certain number of planners, only a certain number of photographers, et cetera, which I think is great for people who are there, but it makes it it's even harder to go.
Yeah.
And they keep raising the prices, which is tough.
It is tough.
Especially two people.
Agreed. Engage was, I have a trick. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Engage was a huge turning point in my career, but you get out of it what you put into it, like everything in life,
Yep.
right? So there are the people there to party, and you will see them at every party, and there are the people there for the education, and you won't see them at the parties. And I think we try to put a feet in both places.
Yeah.
And that's hard, but we usually take a few people. So it's a huge invest.
Was that your answer?
No.
I mean, so Alex got it wrong.
did
Well, I
get
mean,
wrong.
yes.
So what
I
is the
think
answer?
engage. Sorry, let's say the question again, though.
Your biggest piece of advice for just photographers, videographers, any vendor really to get into the luxury space and working with like planners like you. And
I mean, I think that you have to get in front of them and you have to play that long game. And I think planners are hard. I mean, we're the worst, right? We have so few clients and it takes forever to get in front of us. And like we've talked about before, and you guys have talked about this on your podcast, time is money. And so if I have an hour to spend on a Thursday, I don't want to do it networking. I'm going to see my kiddos.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're tough. We're really a hard bunch. But I think anything you can do to make something convenient for another vendor as a potential referral source.
And I also want to add to that, like, don't be icky about it. Like when I feel like I've seen people like, God, I really don't want to, this is a buzzword, but like be like kind of surface level and fake about it. Like just be organic. Like don't use people.
Yes.
Like just be a nice person and
Don't be an asshole.
You can see right through it, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like people like that can see right through, like, oh, they're reaching out just because they want to work with me. Like, is it like you actually want to have a relationship that can grow and flourish, and you can like become an amazing team together to capture events?
Yeah. This is really something I've struggled with a lot as Kate and Company has grown, because I still find myself having the pinch me moments. I can't believe we're as big as we are, you know? And so I don't have the capability of telling somebody that we can't work together. So I have a reputation probably for just stringing people along for too long, you know, because I have a hard time saying that maybe the portfolio is not there yet, you know, like
Don't
it's headed in
disappoint them.
yeah, I don't want to disappoint people because they've worked really hard. And just because it's not a match for my client today doesn't mean it won't be a couple years from now.
Yeah.
But I struggle giving constructive criticism. So it is really hard. I don't know if there's one thing. I mean, I think like one thing I loved about you is like, you knew I had a hard day. And so right today you reached out and you're like, coffee's on me today. And I thought that was just so sweet because you genuinely were listening to what I had going on in my life. And I thought that was a really appreciative. I had a photographer reach out and she was really honest. She's like, I'm not sure my portfolio is there to like even work with your clients. Do you have anything personally I can shoot for you? And you could give me feedback. I'll do it for free if you give me feedback.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting approach. I'd never had someone approach me that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I need everyone to do something for free for me, but I thought like, wow, she checked her ego. She knew exactly where her work was at, wanted some advice and offered me something, you know, and she felt, it made me feel like my time was being valued by her.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's one right or wrong. I think making sure that like your feed is in order, your website is in order, you're using the words to attract luxury clients. Just throwing I'm a luxury photographer on there doesn't mean anything.
Right.
But it's even checking your terminology. It's partners or creative partners and vendors. Not everyone's
Solidifying your brand, making it cohesive.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's, you know, like in the interior design world, it's a sofa, not a couch. Like it's having those words correctly. It's an investment in your services. It's not, you know, a budget. Like just elevating how you're speaking and when you're speaking to people. You know, we started making things not optional, right? It wasn't optional to have us write your timeline. It's not optional to have us do design anymore. We're do design or we don't take the wedding. And starting to do those things, I think really just continued to elevate us. But
it sets a precedent for your company.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's also the long game. Like I know, and I've used that word, you know, I'm beating a dead horse with it, but I've been doing this for 16 years. I've only had my own firm for 11 years. So, you know, while we might suddenly seem really popular, that suddenly to other people was 12 years in the making.
Yeah,
for us.
it took you a while to be here.
I remember the day we had a client tell us they had $40,000 to spend on a wedding, and I was so ecstatic. I thought that was the most money of anything, you know, and it's so much money. You could buy a car, two cars, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of money. And I just remember thinking, and now I hate to say it, but sometimes we'll be like, oh, they're only spending $40,000 on flowers. And then you have to like check yourself a little bit.
You're like, wait,
where the hell? I mean, I grew up in South County, like deep in South County. I didn't grow up in the world of money. So it's just like some of the stuff will say something like that. And then I'll have to like turn around and be like, okay, wait, did I just say that? Like, check yourself.
And
you know?
We've had those moments too, where we're like, wait, how did we even just do that? Like, I don't know how that's even possible. So definitely being humble is 100%. Super important.
Yes. And like you guys said, and I think you said it a few minutes ago, but truly being humble, not just surface level.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Anything else that you got, Alex, for her?
I think that's...
Kate, anything that you wanted to add? I think our time with you is limited.
I have a question before we run out. Are you an Enneagram 8?
I have no idea.
You need to take a test.
I think you are.
I think you're an 8.
Okay. What does that mean?
Oh, or 3. No, you're not 3.
So
is this like a 3-wing something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you mentioned being hard, being like too harsh with criticisms.
Yeah.
I'm the worst at that. Like she's always has to remind me, give two positives and then the negative.
Yeah.
And
Shit
say
sandwich.
it tactfully and.
Yeah. And if he's
'cause
like,
I'm being honest, but I have the best intentions.
Yeah.
yeah.
But sometimes it comes off as
the
Alex, you're
words
an
come
asshole.
out like kind of harsh. And so when he's going to do something, I'm like, be kind.
Yeah. No, okay. My first Facebook interaction with you, I think like you said something, I was like, I don't know if I understand that. And then we DM'd about it and I was like, oh, I totally understand that. Like,
Yeah.
Probably.
just direct.
That
like,
sounds
and
like
it
me.
was
He's very
and it was-
direct.
That
but
sounds like me.
I don't like to have like anything weighing on my mind. So if anything like that happens, I'm immediately like, let's talk about it or let's reach out on
Yeah.
the phone
Yeah.
because I don't want to have bad juju out in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Same.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's to say, I will write and rewrite and write and rewrite emails.
Yeah.
That's why she does most of that for us.
Yeah.
You guys,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we've been using ChatGPT a lot lately.
We do too.
Same.
Great.
I know. I love it. I
Gotta be
love
careful
it.
with copyright stuff though.
Yeah.
I know. So
yeah.
we'll like have it do something and then
It's amazing.
I'll take it and edit it to my own voice.
Yep.
But
Yes.
Yep.
I've had a couple of difficult emails to write this week and it was a little helpful just like, and even coming up with synonyms for words that
Yeah.
didn't sound like I was using a thesaurus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah. Well, I can be too soft sometimes. And he's like, you need to be firm. You need to set yourself up as an authority. You need to do this and this. And I'm like, but I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Their feelings need to be hurt sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm
and
just
so
kidding.
like we
Yeah, right.
are good,
But
like
a little bit.
We balance
Sometimes.
each other out a little bit.
Oh, my husband and I are the same way. Like
Yeah.
he is more direct and doesn't take things personally, and I take everything personally.
take
So we're a
everything
great
personally.
balance
Yeah.
because sometimes people you have to take things at face value, and there's
Yeah.
not a ton underneath. And I'm always like trying to read between the lines. What do you think they
Yep.
meant?
Yes.
Yep.
He's like, I think that's what they meant.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that's all that we have for today. Thank you so much for being here
Thank
with
you
us,
for
Kate.
having me. I want to do it again.
And
Yeah,
for those
we
that didn't
can do it
watch the
again.
last podcast you were in, where can people find you?
KateandCoLLC.com or on Instagram at Kate and Company.
Yay.
Thank you, guys.
We'll
This was
have,
awesome.
we'll have Kate again. This was good.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was good. We'll do it again.
Amazing. Can't wait.
Awesome. Thank you
Bye,
guys.
y'all. Bye.
Peace.